Hey there friends and enemies, JoPaWrites here once again, and today I have another Destiny 2 video, this time going over the exotic armor that you need to get before Solar 3.0. These are going to be very valuable, and I think they're going to be some of the top pieces you can have all around, and they might be a little bit underrated now. And yeah, I can't wait to jump into this because I've been looking forward to Solar 3.0 ever since Void 3.0 did drop. I love the Solar subclasses. I think they're absolutely phenomenal, and the changes are something that I am personally highly anticipating. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Helps me out tremendously, shows you want to see more content like this in the future, because I'm going to probably have a video for Arc 3.0 as well and talk about some of the underrated exotics that you should be having with those, because these 3.0 subclass changes have been an absolute game changer, and Bungie has already hinted at what is coming with Solar 3.0, which is going to be more burn effects. That means enemies are going to take tick damage, and they're really going to lean into that. So we don't know what's going to happen with something like Well of Radiance, whether that's going to get nerfed a little bit because of how strong it's been for so long. We don't know anything like that. We know Lorelei Splendor on the Titan is going to get tuned before next season as well. So that's not something I'm going to be talking about. I think everyone knows that it's strong right now, and we'll have to wait and see after the tweaks. But jumping into it, the first exotic that I thought of when they talked about these changes was the Dawn Chorus for the Warlock. This improves burn effects. All your burn effects last longer, and you gain a small amount of melee energy each time one of your burns damage a target. Your Daybreak projectiles cause damage targets to burn on contact and deal more damage to them. This, if the burn is strong enough, will make Daybreak viable in PvE in a way we have not seen in the past. Potentially, if you get enough tick damage, this could be absolutely huge, especially with the extension of that, and then the ability to get your melee back, and probably have some aspects to use your melee that gets your grenade back, all of that kind of good stuff, and just have a fantastic cycle of tick damage constantly applying to all the enemies. And that's something that I think is going to be absolutely insane, and probably one of the more fun builds that we can look forward to. Now, this is a exotic that has seen usage in the past. I think it's been primarily in PvP, but going forward, I could see this being really, really good in PvE as well. And depending on how good the burn effects are, this could be meta in PvP once again as well. Because if you have somebody ticking down, they're not going to be able to heal. It's going to be a good counter to like overshields and that kind of thing, because they're still going to be taking that tick damage and not able to fully recover before you're able to push them. So for that reason, that's why I really think this could be huge, and is the number one exotic that I would be looking forward. If you don't have this already, go ahead and get it as soon as possible. The next one that I'm really excited about would be Sunbracers. If you don't know, it increases the duration of solar grenades. Solar melee kills grant unlimited solar energy for a brief time. Again, I'm sure with aspects and with the way the fragments work, you'll be able to design a build that will give you just the chance to spam grenades. And then if we get some like overload solar champion mod or something like that, you know, as we've seen all the mods going towards Void 3.0 this season, these could be absolutely insane. And I'm really excited about that, because again, they're another exotic that I don't feel like get enough use. The reason is Well of Radiance has been so strong for so long. Nobody wants to run anything else besides the things that buff your Well of Radiance. Gives you faster reload speed, etc. Something like the Lunafaction boots, something like that. And so I'm excited to hopefully see some variation once Solar 3.0 does hit, because I do feel like there's a lot of wiggle room in how they'll handle this. Like, we'll still have Well of Radiance, but hopefully it's tuned to where everything else is just as viable. I'm assuming Celestial Fire will be the main melee, and then we'll just get a variety of grenades as well. So the other thing is that we're gonna see some thermite grenades on all the different classes as well. That's gonna play a huge part that I think people might underrate as well, because the various grenades, they're gonna have to be tuned because some of them are really really strong, and overall those are the two most exciting exotics. A lot of other ones are going to be viable in my personal opinion if you look through, but they're not going to be specifically targeting 3.0 solar 3.0 in the way that we have seen with we will see with Sunbracers and Dawn Cores. And that's just my personal opinion. I think Phoenix Protocol, something like that, will still be pretty fun to use. Wings of Sacred Dawn is something that I know people use in PvP. But again, I don't know how viable this will be in PvE ever, because jumping up in the air like that is just not not really super useful when you go into PvE. It doesn't add any damage or anything like that. Mantle Battle Harmony, Chromatic Fire, all those are pretty universal. So as far as specifically targeting Solar 3.0, those are the two best for Warlock specifically, in my opinion. Now jumping over to the Titan, I know Lorelei Splendor is pretty cracked right now. That's going to get changed before Solar 3.0 comes out. So we really don't know how that's going to be affected. Obviously, it's still probably going to be solid, but we don't know what to expect with those changes going forward. Hollowfire Heart. Now, this is something that's always been interesting because I've enjoyed using this, but at times it's hit or miss. You don't want to keep your super forever unless your abilities are doing crazy amounts of damage, and that's just not always the case. So for that reason, I'm not as high on Hollowfire Heart, but the one that I would say is the most must-have Titan exotic for Solar 3.0, Path of the Burning Steps. This one already is great, especially as more enemies get stasis. So you still have stasis being used in PvP. But Solar Final Blows and improve weapon damage, and you're harder to freeze, and when you break out, you take no damage and create a burst of solar energy around yourself. Now, the Solar Final Blows is interesting because if you're able to continuously do tick damage and use the Path of the Burning Steps, I feel like you're able to kill a lot more enemies, and it's going to be pretty viable there. You look at some of the other exotics, they don't have any that stand out as much as Dawn Chorus to me personally. You got something like Kepri's Horn, which is whatever, not really too crazy. You got some universal ones like Precious Scars, Worm God. You got Ashen Wake. Now this, depending on how you can set this up, potentially could be very, very good. Use your improved fusions, but they just haven't been strong enough, especially in PvE. But we'll see. I mean, if you get your melee to be the hammer, I feel like that's going to potentially set you up to have some big combos with that. But let's see. There's nothing really else that hits specifically for the... Okay, the Phoenix Cradle, the Sun Warrior lasts twice as long. Allies who pass through sunspots are granted Sun Warrior. This is interesting. I think it's fallen by the wayside because Lorelei Splendor's is better. But with the nerf to Lorelei Splendor, depending on how this works, it could be very, very interesting. We don't have any exotics that specifically target the hammer itself. You know what I'm saying? You have some melee exotics, like you have Worm God, or you have Syntheseps, or you have Dune Marchers, but those don't specifically target the hammer. So if the hammer becomes the primary melee for the Titan, the throwing hammer, I hope we get an exotic that specifically focuses on the buffing the throwing hammer in the future, because I feel like that could be really cool and something that a lot of people are interested in running, like making builds around. And that's really where I get the most excited in Destiny 2, is when I can make a build that feels like my own thing, and I'm not like everyone isn't running the same exact stuff. Now, as for the hunter, I'm gonna. If you didn't know, before the season, I had deleted my entire vault. I haven't really played hunter a lot this season, so I'm not going to switch to that character. We've got stuff like Nighthawk, which could, depending on how they work, Golden Gun could be interesting. We've got Shards of Galanor. Maybe they make a comeback, but it. Who knows? We've got. I know there are some that deal with the knife that could be interesting, depending on they how much they do. Grants 2 knives per charge. Again, I don't know if that's going to be worthwhile anywhere necessarily, unless the knives become really insane. But yeah, trip mines again. There's nothing here. This is why I saved the hunters for last, because there's nothing that specifically deals with like tick damage or ability kills with your solar subclass for the hunter. So that's the exotic that I hope they get going forward, is something that really allows them to, like, this weighted knife bounces twice and increases bonus damage. Cool for PvP, not really for PvE. Everything is like super focused with the hunter, and I would love to see something deal with more of the solar ability damage and tick damage itself. But we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we get something like that in the future. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was a little bit different. No real gameplay, but I like to do stuff like this and kind of theory craft and talk about the future of the game, because it is exciting. I know we won't really have a full idea on what's meta, what's really good, until all the 3.0 subclasses come out, and then we have the full picture. Right now we've only got pieces. We got Stasis, which came out, then we got Void 3.0, Solar. So hopefully once we get Solar and Arc in the future, we can really see where the balance is and how the meta is shifted at that point. But if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. My name is JoPaWrites, and I'll catch you all later.